These are not like the other accounts that we uncovered last week, which act more like mules. There are many more types of transactions in these wallets, and they are much older. Could these be the head of the snake? I can't say for certain right now as there's more to uncover, but if it is, we need to cut it off. Happy Monday, everyone. It's another Meta Monday here at the Hodl Fandom where we take a deep dive into Veve's metadata. Let's get right into a quick overview of the markets. Now, we topped out in October at 35,700 unique wallets actively buying or minting on the platform. When we distribute that data over the month, there were two peaks, one for the very hyped Miles Morales drop and the other at the end of the month. When I dug into that second area, we see that it was clearly the Marvel Zombies series. Veve released 5 issues from October 25th to the 29th, with each having 10k editions. Obviously the data shows they were very popular. The funny thing is they're not really that popular in the real world, so why were people buying them? Well, I'd say buying might not be the right word. I'd say they were stacking. And who is they? Well, it's the whales. This is the distribution of all whale purchases over the month, split between mints and transfers. This is not just one whale wallet or a few whale wallets. This is every single whale purchase on Veve. I draw two conclusions looking at this. Firstly, there is significantly more activity on the secondary market than off the drop when it comes to whales. They know that the prices do drop below retail, and they have more discipline than the smaller wallets who dominate the primary market sales. Something I mentioned back in episode 1 as an indicator that the shrimps are the gamblers. Here we can confirm the whales are doing the opposite. They're less inclined to gamble because if we switch the view to those with less than 100 collectibles, you see, it's the exact opposite. The second takeaway is that it corroborates with the idea I brought up a few weeks ago, referencing a video I did last year about burning collectibles for rewards, and this was hinted at by the Ecomi team. Now the whales could be stacking for that. Now whether or not you want to burn the collectibles for the reward itself or sell these cheap comics in the hype, because guess what happens when people have to burn 50 commons? They won't be $2 anymore. So I do believe we were quite a bit of ways from that. I'm personally just browsing during drop days and seeing if I could snipe a few commons under $2 or uncommons close to $2, and then I'll just grab a couple. Nothing too crazy because I'm really in no rush. And I'm not saying you should be doing anything. I'm just giving you the stats, my interpretation of those stats, and what I'm actually doing to hopefully give you the right information for your own decision making. In terms of monthly numbers, I want to look at one more thing before we get into the fraud hunting, and that's the Vital Voices airdrop. I initially did not like pre-announcing an airdrop. I thought it's kind of weird. If I were to guess at the outcome of this, I would have guessed that it would have been skewed up and to the right with the whales dominating. But I would have been completely wrong. The data shows the middle tiers were the ones who dominated the airdrop. And I kind of like that. I generally believe the middle tiers are the survivors of last year's bull run who just have continued to collect. Sure, the biggest whale wallet on Veve did get 40 of them, but overall the outcome looks alright to me without the deep pockets dominating. Although I'm still not sure we should be pre-announcing an airdrop because how many people just bought the requirements only because they knew they would get a reward? By pre-announcing, you risk that the drop doesn't go to the true fans and the true supporters of the licensor. But it is what it is. Let's move on to fraud hunting. And one of the things I wanted to do is prioritize expanding on the operation that we unveiled last week. How far does the web go? And more importantly, can we find the main culprit's wallet? There has to be a link somewhere. In blockchain, there always is at least one link. One of my first impressions as I dug further into this, unfortunately, the web goes very deep. Here is the web of fraudulent activity as it stood last week. If you want more details, please watch last week's video. What I had called main accounts, they did similar activity, but with a different token, 8082052. Now that's the Wookiee comic, which is great because it creates more connections to track, and we've laid them all out right here. All these wallets are again mule wallets doing the same back and forth action. We can easily label these as part of the operation. Many of them are also new wallets with not a lot of activity. However, when you look at their activity as a whole, they suspiciously transact quite a bit with two wallets, 6700 and 4C77. The one I want to focus on today here is wallet 4C77. If we dig into the details, 4C77 transacts with both the wallets we just added to the network, but also the main accounts that we already established in the previous episode. It buys and sells to and from these wallets, doing the same back and forth. I would love dollar values to see which account is consolidating the gems, but in any case, it's heavily reliant on using both the mule and the main accounts with very quick back and forth transactions. We can mark 4C77 as confirmed involvement in this operation. When we dig into 4C77, there are a few suspicious accounts that I need to monitor with wallets 077A and 07B1, but right now there's not enough to mark them as confirmed as part of this operation, so they're on my watch list for now. The one wallet that is definitely doing shady business is 35F1. This is where things to the normal eye start to get a little difficult to spot, but this is what I was hoping to find, and I'll explain why in a minute. This wallet doesn't have a lot of activity that gives it away. There are only 3 purchases from the network, all on September the 4th, 2022, occurring between 7:17 p.m. and 7:18 p.m., so very quickly within about a minute. These purchases are flipped to 3 wallets, 2 of which are on the watch list as I didn't have time to dig into them, but the obvious one was wallet 635C. Its activity showed again the same back and forth, which I believe is gem funneling or consolidation of gems between related accounts. And the wallet that 635C used for this back and forth activity was strictly and solely wallet B646. Now digging into B646, it's the same thing, but it reveals a whole bunch of new wallets doing this. This wallet alone shows that the web is much, much bigger than we thought. There are a lot of wallets here that I need to dig into. Now, when I mentioned that this was what I was hoping to find, well, when I started doing the forensic accounting here on Veve's transactions, I had a goal set out. I wasn't just doing this blindly in any random direction. I wanted to find the top wallets that are running the bot operations. And to find that out, I hypothesized what it would look like. It wouldn't be like the network that we uncovered in last week's episode, where most of the transactions were very obvious. It would be hidden in other types of transactions, with just a few or small groupings of transactions pulling in the gems. I also suspected it would be an older wallet from the original user on Veve. So when we look at these wallets in particular, specifically 35F1, these are generally older wallets created in January, March, and August of this year. These are not like the other accounts that we uncovered last week, which act more like mules. There are many more types of transactions in these wallets, and they are much older. Could these be the head of the snake? I can't say for certain right now as there's more to uncover, but if it is, we need to cut it off. If it isn't, we still need to shut them down, and I need to do more digging to find more information. You see, bot protection software isn't about finding the perfect bot software. I see it as making it just more difficult than the competition to turn a profit. And if shutting these accounts down costs the operator, a few extra $1,000 on fake KYC'd accounts, then great. That's a reason to go to another platform that doesn't have all the protection that Veve has, plus a forensic accountant on their trail. And there's a lot of trails outside of this web that I need to start investigating. So hopefully we can expose them and get them shut down. Anyways, that's all I got for this week's Meta Monday episode. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.